I really foresee it making a big difference in the health of everyone around the world. I think it's going to solve some things for us. I think there are going to be some really incredible just discoveries made by AI that just are just so improve the life of people. And I think that might happen within 5 years.
Adam, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great. I'm on fire, baby.
Do you know I love that attitude? I've got a conscious, or I make a conscious effort of no matter where I go, and people just say, "Hey, dude, how are you?" And I just go, "Dude, I'm unstoppable." And they go, "Oh, unstoppable." I love that attitude.
Well, you're in motion. You're always doing something. That's what I tell people to be. Don't be a tree. Always look for opportunity and compete. Don't complain. That's another one of my sayings.
I love that. If you're not moving forward, you're going backwards.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Adam, you are the Bitcoin Meister. Why?
Well, because that's my last name is Meister. People don't believe me to this very day, and I love I've had that last name obviously my whole life. In my youth, I would combine my last name with a lot of different things. With a business I had called Contact Meister. I was the Sports Meister. Hit Meister when I was we were playing baseball as kids. They called me Hit Meister. So when I got into Bitcoin, I'm like, well, I'm going to be the Bitcoin Meister. Obviously, it just came naturally. And I thank God when my relatives came here, they got assigned the name Meister. It was very good.
Awesome. Where's that come from?
Meister, I think, is like a German name or something. But my ancestors are from Russia and the Ukraine and Poland and all that. We're Jewish, and just they came to America. He said his last name's Masterovoy, and they're like, you're Meister. And then to his brothers and his father, they said, you're Meinster.
Wow.
It was great. He's got three. It was my great-grandfather. He's got three. He has three brothers. They're all Meinster. Thank God we got the Meister. I couldn't do the Bitcoin Meister. That'd be terrible.
Yeah,
Meister.
It doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well.
But no one believes my last name's Meister. I had people in college. That's really your last name? Yeah, that's my last name.
Awesome. What is Bitcoin adoption like in where you are, Salt Lake City? Are you seeing independent stores?
In Baltimore, which I'm more of an expert in, it was horrible. Even though they had the Bitcoin Meister living there, terrible, horrible. Here in Salt Lake City, it's better. There's a Bitcoin meetup. There's a few places that actually have Bitcoin. But that's going to answer the second part of your question from before. You said, is Bitcoin the future of money? Was that the question you asked me too? Is that going to be the future of money? Now, this is the thing. After all these years of owning Bitcoin, 12 freaking years of owning Bitcoin, some kid that was 12 years old is now 24 years old. He's a big trader or something probably. That's how much time has gone by. In all those years, I thought at first that it had to become money. I did not understand buy and hold the first day I got it. I thought you had to use it for something maybe or do something. And then soon I understood store of value a little bit more. And I always understood, that I didn't want the government to be able to, take my bank account because I saw what had happened in Cyprus and I'd actually visited Cyprus. And as you're in Britain, so you probably visit Cyprus too, maybe. But you are in Britain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so just making sure. And what was it? In terms of so after a certain point, at least by 2017, I'm like, for this thing to be successful, not everybody in the world has to use it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to buy your socks with it or buy your coffee with it, the whole world. But Salt Lake City has a few places that accept it. That's fine. And over time, it will grow. It will grow with the Lightning Network or whatever they come up with. But my Lord, I lived through the 2017 thing with Bcash and Roger Ver. And I remember when Roger Ver was the biggest hero. I had Roger Ver on my channel. By the way, for the people that don't know me out there, yeah, Bitcoin Meister, name of my channel. It was 2016 and 2017 were big. I was like one of the only channels out there. The people who actually remember me from them, from then, first of all, they all should be rich now. Second of all, they all know that I'm hardcore and that you've seen a lot. And I remember in 2016, I was like, I'm no OG. There have been people in here since 2012. Now people are like, oh my God, you bought your first 2 Bitcoin in 2013. Oh my, you've been around so long. But I remember a time when I was brand new. But with Roger Ver and all them, with the Bcash and the big blocks, and the reason Bitcoin exists is so it's the money of the world, and we have to be able to spend it, and it must be spent. It must be easy. It must be cheap to spend. No, it doesn't have to be all those things. It does. That's what the second layers are for. If people want to do that stuff, they can do whatever they want to do with it. Store value, gold, NFTs. I don't care. Like if it follows the rules. I mean, it follows the rules, then they can do it. I'm a confident decentralist. Okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do with it. You're going to do what you're going to do with it. And go your own way. If you don't like it, go fork off like Roger Ver did and like Fake Toshi did. No. That shows that you're not in a cult. Cults do not let people fork off. They take away your family. They do all sorts of things. Some people do say, yeah, Bitcoin's like a cult. It's a cult. No, it's not a cult. People can leave. People can fork, make their own coins, and that's it. Now, there are some people in Bitcoin that are the Bitcoin... I call them the Bitcoin Inquisitionist. If you mention the word Ethereum or Solana or whatever, or you had a certain person on your show, or you say it can't be this or that, or if you like that they had inscriptions, then you should be cast out and destroyed. But I'm not. I believe in decentralization, and I'm confident in what I'm confident in Bitcoin. In that, it's for me, it's a store of value. It's a way. It's unconfiscatable. I don't want the government to take it away. It preserves my wealth, and that's it. And it's my own bank account, and I can do as I wish with it. It's pretty private, pseudonymous, whatever you want to call it. That's it. So no, I don't see it becoming the money of the entire. I don't see it becoming the world reserve currency. I don't see the dollar going away as the world reserve currency at all. I mean, I've traveled this world. There's much respect for the dollar. They throw away everything if you give them a dollar. When I was in Argentina a while ago, I've told this story before. It's $13 to go on the bus to go to the airport. I'm like, can I give you dollars instead of these pesos? Or they're like, oh yeah, sure, of course. I mean, when I was in Zimbabwe in 2016, and I've actually been, I wanted to see I got invited to a Bitcoin conference there in 2016, but yeah, they had no official currency anymore. What did they use? The dollar. And then secondarily was you could use all sorts of things, they said. Some people did use the South African rand, but nobody was using the Japanese yen or the euro or anything like that. Supposedly that was accepted too, but no, the dollar. The dollar is the thing, is the world reserve currency, and Bitcoin doesn't have to be the world reserve currency. It does not. To be successful, only a certain percentage of the world it's already very successful with a very small percentage of the world using it for anything, owning it at all. Only a small percentage of the world actually owns some Bitcoin and has possession of their keys. Most people that think they own Bitcoin, it's at Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase has like 1 million Bitcoin at it, doesn't it? I mean, they admit how many they have. So those people really don't own their Bitcoin. People say, oh yeah, I own Bitcoin, but it's in their IRA or they have the ETF, blah 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 blah. No, not at all. So, and I have no problem with there being Bitcoin ETFs and everything. Let it become more mainstream and acceptable, and the younger generation thinks more and more that it's always been there. It's an asset class that's always been there. It's very normal. That Elizabeth Warren is like an old wench. Well, she is. Pound that like button. And that these people that think it's criminal and old fashioned they're like Elizabeth Warren, or they're like, or they end up like Charlie Munger. We all end up like Charlie Munger one day. I mean, in the sense that we die. Yeah, is it? I mean, and that's what I mean. Not that we don't end up angry and hating Bitcoin like he did. We all end up dead. And the people that tend toward hating it and don't understand it, they're dying sooner than the people that know what it is, which is the younger generation. So I've seen a lot change over the last 12 years, a lot.
Yeah, it has changed so fast. You said it twice. Bitcoin is a store of value, and there's three phases um, to money: store of value, medium of exchange, and then unit of account. I'm inclined to agree with you that Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have to move into the third phase of that as the unit of account, and I do also agree with you that the dollar will always be the world reserve currency. But do you think there's a chance that it will be backed by Bitcoin, much like it used to be backed by gold? Is it? Can you see a future with that in mind?
Heck no! The
No
dollar's
way.
it's never been backed by anything. That gives the United States the power, so much power just to keep printing it and printing it. There's a psychology of money, and I want to if I had time to write a book or do research or do most people aren't interested in this topic, which I'm about to bring up here. Okay, because most people they want to just live their lives. They're not philosophical. They're not deep thinkers. They end up trading. Ripple or something like that. That's most people that get into cryptocurrency. That's what they do. They trade. They leverage trading, blah, 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 blah. But for me, there's a psychology of money. There's more to the value of the dollar than just how much there is and how powerful the United States is. In fact, it's a marketing thing. For years and years and years now, you go on, you watch TV or whatever, and the rappers, they're throwing around dollars and stuff. It has built up a brand that is just incredible. So why not just and everybody wants it as their foreign aid. So I don't like the United States because every single darn country foreign aid on earth. But by doing that, it's almost like what the crack dealer does. He gives up a little bit of free crack to all the addicts, and then they want more and more and more of it. They want more and more, and it becomes more valuable and more important, and they're willing to do more insane things. They become more addicted to it. And so I almost think like our foreign aid makes the dollar almost in the eyes of the whole world. If their dictators getting bribed by foreign aid, which is only in dollars, they're going to want dollars too. There's always going to be this weird psychological demand for dollars that goes beyond all the traditional models. I mean, I like behavioral economics. I like what is actually happening. Because in theory, so many of the things with the dollar we should have hyperinflation. We should have this. We should have that. But no, the United States should become weak and all this stuff. It doesn't happen. There's something else. It's the behavior of the people. They love this dollar thing. They love it. So since we can print, we print value out of thin air. That's what the United States is doing by all these strange policies that it has. That's really what the dollar is. So I'm not a dollar. I think I originally was like a dollar hater when I learned about the Federal Reserve and all this stuff. But over time, I've totally mellowed out because I'm like, I know what I got is better than the dollar, and which is Bitcoin. It's better. It's better than I'm not saying the dollar is just the best fiat currency out there, and I never see that disappearing. I really do not see that going away at all. So why mess with a good thing? Why back it with something and limit your power and limit what you can do? Limit the pork that you can bring the state of Arkansas or the state of Idaho or wherever. Okay, if you're a congressman or a senator. No, I don't think Bitcoin will ever bet, and it doesn't. I don't know if any country will ever want to back their currency with Bitcoin, because it's just the nature of government to be corrupt. Now, all those other countries, what ends up happening to them is, the inflation gets real bad, and you end up with Zimbabwe, Argentina, etc., type of situations and stuff. But I mean, there are solutions to that. I mean, there's governments really. There's no need for certain in this modern world that we live in. There's no need for Zimbabwe to have its own currency. The only reason they went back to their own currency is so that the government could have power over the people again, and then the same old story happens. They were doing fine with the dollar as their currency, but it was they didn't have enough power and stuff. So no, the governments by their nature are going to do they're not giving up power.
Yeah. That's interesting. The problem I haven't got a problem with what you're saying, but I do see like if they're going to print the dollar to infinitum, then inflation is exponential. What's the answer to that? Does it even matter?
It's not infinitum. They won't print it to infinity, and there are technology comes and saves the day all the time. We get better and better stuff, and the supply side saves our tuchluses all the darn time. We increase the supply of good stuff that is out there. So we print a lot of dollars, but it stays in a certain ratio with all the new good stuff that everybody's willing to pay so much for. So AI should help. One cool thing about that's going to happen with AI is that these AI fake people online, or whatever you want to call them, they're going to spend money too. They're going to need money. They're going to, and that'll be good for all cryptocurrencies, and it'll be good for the digital dollar. And because eventually, another trick that the United States has up its sleeve that it hasn't pulled yet, that I encourage it to when it needs to, not on the American people, but on the people that it gives foreign aid to, is the central bank digital currency. There can be negative interest rates with that. Now, unfortunately, a central bank digital currency will probably be inflicted upon the citizens of the United States also, and people will be tempted by it. That's how you'll get your slavery reparations through there. With the it'll be a negative 10% interest rates on your house. So all people that are descendants of slaves will get free houses or something, and it'll be you only have to pay the government back a negative 10 interest rates, but it must be through your account at the Fed. There's so many ways. There's so many, and people will be like, "Oh, that's so innovative with the United States dollar. Oh, that's great. I love the dollar even more. I want more dollars. I want these central bank digital dollars." Also, a central bank digital dollar, it can be used as in economic warfare. Just distributed to everybody in Venezuela, and then all of a sudden they're all on the dollar system that easily, or something like that. I mean, it might not be that simple, but some of these third world currencies, once it doesn't even matter if the United States does it. But once China and maybe Japan and Europe, they do their central bank digital currencies and it starts spreading all over the world, some of these local currencies are just going to go away. They're going to get destroyed because everyone will everyone will have easy access to the better money, and they'll be able to get around capital controls. Capital controls are very big things that even when you're stuck in inflation, it keeps you stuck in inflation. So it keeps you stuck in your horrible currency in like some of these African countries. They're pretty darn good with the cap. You cannot get the money out of your country, so you're stuck in there. But with these central bank digital currencies, that'll be a way around this, and it'll be a way to free people. That'll be great. Call it economic warfare by larger countries on smaller countries, economic colonialism. I don't care what you call it, because I'm going to own Bitcoin. And you know what? If somebody in some third world country gets freed up because they got some Japanese yen central bank digital currency, good for them. Good. They should. That's good. They have the right to be free instead of being a slave of their third world Mozambique currency that they can't get out of the country. And I've also been to Mozambique. Okay, so yeah, there we go. We went on a little rant right there. So no, I don't see us going insane with the money printing, but I see getting rid of regulations in the United States and letting our main futuristic golden age 2030s industries thrive. Those are like health technology, AI, and cryptocurrency. If they just let all that stuff thrive, the supply side economics will take over, and we're going to have stuff the whole darn world wants, the whole darn world needs. How many people in Dubai are going to be willing to pay money to the United States company that figures out a way for people to live to 150? And how much will they be living comfortably to 150? And how much will they be willing to pay of their fortunes? Okay, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about getting rid of regulation that allows new industries to thrive. Instead, we worry about AI killing everyone. This is insane stuff. Let the AI thrive. Let it figure out how to the best health combination that will allow people to live very old, and combine it with the health technology, and hey, then you got an awesome, a great new industry here. And we do have, the United States has a lot of people, first of all, but it's got the most entrepreneurial spirit. It's got the best marketing spirit of everywhere in the world that I go to. Hardly anyone really understands marketing. They almost feel like it's a dirty thing. And I think in the United States, we've really embraced marketing, and that helps with our dollar. It shows in our dollar. We've marketed it well, whether we've meant to do it or it's been subliminal. But culturally, the dollar is money in the whole darn world. And by the way, you gave the three definitions of money, and those are probably all true. But I think that's like a straw man argument against Bitcoin that like people like Yaron Brook and Peter Schiff say, oh, see, Bitcoin's not really money because it's not being used as a means of a transaction at all. It's not being used as that. So it's not, okay, then cool. It's not really money. Then it's something completely new. It's just an awesome freaking asset that I own. I have no problem with Bitcoin not being considered money by 70-year-old Peter Schiff, or whatever he is. He might not be that old yet. Sorry, Peter. 70 Peter Schiff and all his buddies that are 70 don't consider Bitcoin money because it doesn't check this one box off. That's cool. Then whatever. It's some futuristic asset class that I have that has made me very, very wealthy. I mean, that's what it is. Okay, cool. That's what it is. Okay. It's not money. Fine. It's not money, but I become super rich. Whatever. Okay, cool. That's all.
Okay, yeah, just accept it. Yeah. Okay, so I see your train of thought on the dollar doesn't necessarily need to be backed by something, but to rationalize it in my head, I get that. But essentially what you're saying is the dollar is backed by GDP, products and services that are created within the United States. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you've said, but in my head, that's the way I...
Okay, that's a good way of saying it. So I shouldn't say... It doesn't have to be backed up by a reserve. It doesn't have to be... like the United States doesn't need a Fort Knox. It doesn't need a Fort Knox of Bitcoin. I don't think the United States should sell any of the Bitcoin that it's confiscated, but it doesn't need to buy Bitcoin. It doesn't need to buy Bitcoin. It would help. It would help a lot for the price of Bitcoin. That would be great if the United States all of a sudden. Some people are like, the United States should buy 1 million Bitcoin. Come on now. If the United States bought 1 million Bitcoin, you know how much Bitcoin would end up being worth? I mean, it's like it's beyond understanding. We don't have enough. That's not gonna happen because the whole world would start buying it at that point too for their Bitcoin reserves. Also, everyone would need a Bitcoin reserve. I think what the United States has done is just say, hey, we're not getting rid of it. Now other countries won't get rid of it, and that'll help them in times if they ever need to. If they're ever short on some value, they'll be able to go into the Bitcoin storage, I guess, and maybe just leverage it. Maybe just take out a loan on their Bitcoin if they need to. One of these countries, I don't know. You can get creative. I got no problem with that. But no. So yeah, your point with the dollar is that okay, it's backed up by GDP then. But I think a lot of it is psychological. And it has an image.
So what's your version of the truth behind the Bitcoin strategic reserve?
My version of the truth? You mean
why do you think they've done it?
Well, okay. Let's take a few steps back. Trump been running for president for quite some time. Since the 2022, he made his official announcement, and there wasn't much momentum at first. The people were on the Ron DeSantis train. But he did his thing. He did his verbal abuse of his fellow Republicans pretty successfully. So that got him the Republican side of things. But still, even though Joe Biden was senile at that point, he's been senile for quite a few years. He wasn't really beating in the polls a senile man who wasn't that great of a vice president, or senator, or anything. So I handed to the people at Bitcoin Magazine and the people surrounding them. People started reaching out somehow to various politicians, RFK and Vivek, and they jumped on Bitcoin very early. And I think that somehow made it more legitimate, and people approached Trump about Bitcoin and what he had said about it in the past, which was lunacy, the stuff he had said, that we must be loyal to the US dollar. It's the best money on earth because be a patriot. It's ridiculous. No logic at all behind it. And he said, maybe he said Bitcoin was a scam. I don't even know what he said. But he didn't say good things about Bitcoin. But someone talked to him eventually, or a bunch of someone's talked to him, and he started seeing, and coincidentally around this same time, I think a lot of the rich guys with Bitcoin and in venture capital who fund various crypto organizations started getting debanked, and they're like, they couldn't be on the team Elizabeth Warren anymore, which is the Democrats. They couldn't fund their own demise. It wasn't going to be the Ayn Rand novel of funding your own destruction because that's just what everybody does. No, they started giving money to candidates that started talking about Bitcoin, which again, Vivek, RFK, but then on the local level, Cynthia Loomis, the guy in Ohio, Brian of Coinbase. What's his last name?
Brian Armstrong.
Brian Armstrong. He knew he was in deep, dude. If he kept up, if the Democrats, if the anti-crypto army, she called it, or whatever she called it, Elizabeth took over, he knew he was in big trouble. He was dealing with all these regulations and stuff. So they started throwing their money around. So it wasn't just talk, and it wasn't just a little bit of money. They made up PACs and funds. And I think eventually Trump saw, I can get a lot of money from these guys. I can get a lot of money from them. I don't want my competitors to get a lot of money from them. I'm going to listen to them. His sons maybe started getting into it too. And so he saw the other ones that spoken at the Bitcoin conference the year before. So he had to speak at the Bitcoin conference. He was very willing to reach out, not only to Bitcoin people, but to libertarians. So there was kind of a crossover. So I don't think he fully understands it to this very day, but he's got people in his inner circle who fully understand it and who will financially benefit from it if it is embraced by the United States government. So there's no doubt that he went straight up with the meme coin. That would be, in a bygone era, he would have been impeached for that. It's insane. But there's no regulate. That was a symbol assigned to the world also that if I'm going to do a meme coin, then you don't have to worry about Elizabeth Warren style regulation on this stuff. Now, with the reserve itself, obviously he had to pick Bitcoin. That is the main one. He understands that. Why did he name the other ones? It was favors the people who gave him money. It was the Ripple guy gave him money at some point. I guess the Cardano probably helped too. There's one, there's Charles is behind Cardano, so he's a very easy target to target for money. Hey man, I mentioned your thing on the strategic reserve. It's time to support these candidates or whatever. And I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff. David Sachs dealt with Solana back in the day. I think David Sachs did a good job of saying, I'm not going to make money. I did sell everything beforehand, so I'm not going to make money off of this because Elizabeth Warren immediately was saying this is only the rich David Sachs and Elon Musk and blah 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 blah. No, they didn't pick Dogecoin. They didn't make it that obvious that they were favoring some people, but they were favoring some people. But in the long run, it was just a pump. It just ended up being a pump for those ones. Because it's going to mainly focus on Bitcoin, but they're not getting rid of the other one. If they have Ethereum, if they have Solana, they're not getting rid of them. But in the long run, it did boost Ripple and Cardano's standing among people. I think there were probably a lot of people that had not heard of those before, and just the president mentioning that helped. So there is, he's a very transactional guy. And so there's some transactional stuff behind the scenes with that. So I'm not down with that. I don't think it's economic fascism when you pick winners and losers. And he picked 5 winners by mentioning all 5 of them. Okay. and two of them were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Cardano and Ripple. I mean, especially Ripple. It's like a private company there. I mean, it's completely insane. So that's my take on it. He is transact, but I have said this. It's a politics is dog eat dog world. I am so glad for Brian Armstrong that he spoke up, that he put his money where his mouth is. He's done well. It's not just Republican Congressman. Richie Torres is a Democrat from New York. So he understands it more than Trump. He understands that it can help the poor constituents of New York. Now, of course, Richie Torres might use all this fame gained from that and from a few other things to all of a sudden run for governor. So there's always all these dudes. They're not picking Bitcoin and cryptocurrency out of the goodness of their hearts. They see that we're rich and that we have sway, and that the Bitcoin contingency out there is much larger than than Elizabeth Warren ever imagined. So we have all done a good job doing these shows, spreading the word over the years, because we've gotten the amount of Bitcoiners in America to a critical mass, where the politicians cannot ignore it, and also where it's very much financially worth their while, because financial contributions are clearly very important in United States politics.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see how it would be a vote winner, and then I suppose you've got, using my words, you could have potential protests from people like Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong, who've got, billions in Bitcoin, knowing damn well that if the Democrats had got into power, they would have been ruined. So it was kind of like a win-win, or a very clever strategy by Trump potentially. Then,
but it wasn't originally. They forced it upon him. I mean, I don't think he didn't say, "Oh."
Well, he didn't look too enthusiastic when he signed the executive order for the Bitcoin Reserve.
You see, now we're at a different point. He's already won, and now he's just got to worry about, like, am I going to get bad press for this? And I think at first it was pretty obvious when he named those 5 that he was going to get bad press. If the United States actually had a Ripple reserve.
Well, he did. There was a lot of noise on Twitter, and then he came out later on and said, "Oh, by the way."
But so that was the thing. That was a trial run. Yeah, he was well on his way to doing a Ripple reserve, but somebody bribed him to do it. Okay, but then He saw the bad feedback. He said, "I can't do this. I can't do this." His people, he couldn't do it. It would have been the corruption would have been obvious. It really would have been obvious at that point. So he took another path. Now, I think Brian Armstrong would have been ruined by. Would definitely been ruined by Elizabeth Warren. I don't think Michael Saylor would have been, though, because he's just into Bitcoin. And there's only so much Elizabeth Warren and her crew, because they call themselves the anti-crypto crew. So all they would have done was, not all, I mean, everyone that owned cryptocurrency maybe would have been debanked. So Coinbase, no one would ever buy anything from Coinbase anymore, because who would want to own this thing that gets you debanked? And Coinbase would, a few days after your election, Coinbase comes out with this new product where you can get loans on your Bitcoin there. Your Bitcoin is your collateral and you get loans. That's awesome. But that would never have happened. Staking would have become illegal in the United States. All these things that would have destroyed all the businesses that rotate around cryptocurrency. A Bitcoin holder would have been okay. Now, maybe they would have went as far as to say, like, no publicly traded company can own Bitcoin at all. Okay, that would have ruined Saylor. Yeah, but there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. I like a lot of Bitcoin people hate all other cryptocurrencies. I have no problem with them because they're a shield for Bitcoin. Elizabeth Warren and her crew, they clearly would have went after the meme coins and the NFTs and all the centralized easy pickings first. And then she could say, I saved the children. I saved the single mothers from being ripped off. And maybe then Bitcoin would have just been left alone. We don't know. So it's really like the guys like Mark Andreessen who fund all of those things. You're really cutting into his abilities to be rich, to be super duper rich. If he can't fund a company that deals with Ethereum or Solana because they're staking, okay? It's or because they had meme coins once or something. Like the creativity is, we don't know what's going to come out. I mean, I never would have guessed meme coins back in the day. Although Andreas Antonopoulos did say that one day, like every third and fourth grader was going to be able to print their own coin. He said, yeah, well, one day that's close to what a meme coin is. But we don't know if the government just steps out of the way, which they have now done. I have no idea what the next thing is going to be. I didn't know that we were going to have these ICOs. I didn't know we were going to have what was it? 2021 was the art. What was the NFTs? I didn't know we were going to have meme coins this time around. What are we going to have in 2029? You cannot even guess. And people are like, well, all those things are worthless. I don't believe in intrinsic value. I don't believe in intrinsic value. Again, it's a straw man. It doesn't exist. Everybody values different things. Some people value these meme coins. They're nothing. They're printed out of thin air. But people like things like that. So some people just like it. They think it's cool. Whatever. It's not for me to judge. And again, the intrinsic value argument. People are like, there's no intrinsic value in Bitcoin. So that's another Peter Schiff thing. Again, that's a fake. Okay, great. It has nothing that you consider valuable because there's no such thing as real intrinsic value. Value is subjective. It is in the eye of the beholder right there. So,
there's no intrinsic value in baseball cards, but some of them are worth millions.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just it depends on just anyone can. I believe in true freedom, decentralized freedom. If some people feel that there's value in a painting which is just cow dung slung on a empty canvas. I mean, I think it's ridiculous, but that's where there's no intrinsic value there. Okay, I understand what you're coming from on that, but there's someone that likes a cow dung on a canvas. Okay, that's them. That you do you, I do me.
Yeah, like the bananas duct taped to a wall. What was that? Worth 6 million or something stupid?
No, it's insane.
That's just crazy. It's crazy. So we've previously heard Hillary Clinton and more recently Christine Lagarde of the EU say that Bitcoin is a direct threat to traditional finance. You're discounting that with your view on Bitcoin. You don't think we'd go that far?
I think cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is a direct threat to traditional finance. It is a way for them to. They don't want to evolve. Okay, they don't want to evolve. If they evolve, they'll be fine. It's not a threat anymore. It's actually a value add. It'll force them to be open on Saturdays and Sundays beyond trading hours from New York, 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I mean, it's ridiculous how I can't send a payment on a weekend through Wells Fargo and all this. It'll force them to get off traditional stock exchanges and do something like ICOs. It'll force them to they're going to have to sell cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. They're just going to have to evolve. So those women who said that, they don't fully understand what they're even saying. They're onto a little bit if the traditional finance, Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Citi and whoever, if they want to stay the same, okay, then it's a threat. If they refuse to change, it's a huge threat. They're going to become obsolete. They're going to become the horse and buggy, okay? It's just that. But if they actually learn something from the new competition, then great. You see, because Lagarde and Clinton are used to economic fascism, where you create barriers, where you create rent-seeking opportunities that make it very hard for new entries into a category, and so that the incumbents always win. Those ladies, I say that they want they like incumbents. The incumbents love them. They love the incumbents. They don't want they themselves are incumbents in a way. Clinton, the only way she has economic power is based on that her husband, not economic power, political power, is that her husband, last name Clinton, was the president of the United States. If he wasn't the president of the United States, she never would have become a senator from New York. Never, never, never. So yeah, they're all about incumbency. So they're very correct. For unchanging incumbents that rely on their history, that rely on their last name, yeah, and refuse to change, then yeah, those people are Bitcoin is a threat to them. It is a threat to those fields. But you can see it. All these banks, they're starting to be very much willing to deal with Bitcoin, and if they want to survive, they gotta get into that Bitcoin type of mindset where they're open all the time and it's fast and you see. But I was about to say, and it's unconfiscatable. But people are so used to third parties. You see, that's the thing. The thing that shows is that most people who think they own Bitcoin, it's at a third party. So these banks, as long as most people think they own Bitcoin, are still very used to keeping their Bitcoin somewhere else, using a third party for financial management, those banks are gonna be fine. They'll just become Bitcoin banks. And in theories, people might be more comfortable keeping their Bitcoin with Wells Fargo than with Coinbase. I don't know. So there is a what hasn't happened. I thought would happen probably in my naive. I was naive that yeah, everyone's going to put their Bitcoin. They're going to self-custody. It's so obvious. It's so because there have been hacks. There were so many hacks back in 2016 of these trade exchanges. So many hacks, unbelievable. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And Trezor stock sales went up, and Ledger sales went up. But since that time, so many more people have joined the space, the cryptocurrency space, that like they don't even know about that. They don't care about that. They trust third parties. So the don't trust third party mindset that I thought would grow has not grown at all.
No.
And so banks still have a great opportunity there to make money off of cryptocurrency. And they'll be even able to charge like management fees. I mean, so many ridiculous things. They're going to charge management fees on holding your Bitcoin, probably, or saying they put it in your 401k for you. Just totally insane stuff. But that'll help them survive for quite some time too, if they embrace, holding Bitcoin. And for all the people out there, dudes, don't let third parties hold your stuff. Don't let third parties hold. They're like, oh, it's insured at Coinbase. It's insured here and there. Okay, but how about if you get divorced and there's a court order that says you have to give your wife half your money, and so then they'll contact Coinbase and they'll take half your Bitcoin. Yeah. You won't be able to do a darn thing about it. Well, what was the point of owning the Bitcoin if your wife gets your cheating wife gets to take half the Bitcoin plus lawyer fees from your Bitcoin? Meanwhile, if I've been telling men this for years, have a secret stash of Bitcoin. You have it on Trezor that your wife doesn't know about. So if she ever leaves you, which will happen to 50% of you, you could start anew somewhere else, and she won't even know to take it. There will be no way to take it. Then you'll understand what unconfiscatable means for the people that say, "Oh, it's confiscatable. The government has done this, that, and the other." It's not. If you have it on a Trezor, the wife doesn't know about it. Nobody knows about it. It's fine. You're good.
Yeah. One of the best analogies I heard today was on the Once Bitten podcast by Daniel Prince, and he said,
"Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic." The analogy he used was you buy a car for 10,000. I think he said 20 or 30,000 pounds. Let's say you buy a car for 10,000 pounds, you sign the paperwork, and you go home, but the dealership still holds the car keys, so you don't actually get the car. It's the same thing as buying, but this is one of the biggest problems I've got with Bitcoin adoption is, I agree with you. I don't think Bitcoin adoption is going to happen without the banks. because you're absolutely right. People cannot be bothered. They don't really want to learn. They don't want to read the books that they need to read in order to understand Bitcoin. If they want to own Bitcoin, they would rather just go to their local bank and buy 30, 50, 70, 100 quid's worth of Bitcoin and let the bank hold it. And like you say, the benefit of that is now the bank has something tangible, like they used to have the gold, to lend, to leverage against, and the cycle continues. Going back to the ECB, Christine Lagarde, um, so their idea of futurizing money is CBDs,
Yeah.
but they're going to use CBDs on traditional financial rails. Well, those two negate each other. So really, you're just not moving forward anyway.
Well, yeah, she also considers cryptocurrency a threat because they can't pull it back. They can't control. She really believes in CBDs being on traditional rails. She may believe this. You tell me. She believes in getting rid of private banks in Europe. Just I mean that's a takeover of the banks. If
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
it's one step toward that. And there's some countries there's some socialists in America that would love that. I think Elizabeth Warren would like that. Just get rid of all, or Bernie Sanders would. Like, yeah, we shouldn't have private banks anymore. Now we're just going to use the Federal Reserve for this. And yeah, we're going to use these newfangled central bank digital currencies. I do like how you did say that was a really good point, that Bitcoin you didn't say it won't be successful without the banks, but it won't spread. I think, yeah, for the people that go crazy when they hear the banks are buying Bitcoin, you look at it. What's the best that can happen from such a scenario? Then all of a sudden, everybody feels comfortable with Bitcoin. More and more people have Bitcoin. Banks are going to spread Bitcoin, are going to be the best spreaders of Bitcoin ever. That's on the good side. That could very much happen. So there's certain people in the Bitcoin space that just naturally want to barf when they hear Bitcoin and traditional finance. No. Look at the good side. Look at the good side. They're taking up. It's a limited asset, so they're taking some off the market, and it's becoming more scarce what you own. But at the same time, they're introducing it. They're orange pilling so many people out there without really being proactive about it. They're doing it for other reasons, in other words.
Yeah. When you dig into it, the abundance that you discover of potential products and services that the financial world can create off the back of Bitcoin is quite astounding, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it opens a whole new world out there of financial abundance. It really does. I mean, I don't just.
It makes me think: is Bitcoin going to be the foundation or the underpinning, whatever word you want to use, to the fourth industrial revolution?
Well, I don't like that term because Klaus Schwab uses it, and it goes back to stakeholder capitalism, which is economic fascism. Some okay. So, but if we were to have a fourth industrial revolution that doesn't involve Klaus Schwab, that describes a time of how about this? Is Bitcoin going to be the backbone of the post-scarcity world? Okay,
I like that.
Where there's no more scarcity. Is it going to be the backbone? It's going to be a player, but it's going to allow people, it's going to get people in the mindset of just really being personally responsible of their own money, not needing to use third parties, thinking outside the box, and then creating other products that they can, or other businesses that don't involve third parties, that involve thinking outside the box, that involve not worrying about fitting in, and then they'll be able to leverage their Bitcoin to fund those businesses, to use their new asset that they bought for $600, which is now worth $1 million or something. Not okay. They pay. I don't think Bitcoin's going to be $1 million anytime soon, but you know what I mean. They have 10 Bitcoin, they're worth 100,000. They have $1 million. They could leverage that to get a loan to start funding these new things. So that's where it's going to play a role. It's going to affect people's mindsets. It's going to affect their ability to get funding for their ideas. And if Bitcoin is allowed to totally flourish without regulation, then it'll set the general government tone to not regulate anything. And thus, I really am just a firm believer, if we had just no regulations, oh my God, the abundance, people would be creating all sorts of crazy things out there that would get us that much closer to a post-scarcity world. Now, again, going back to the AI, and because I was going to say, like, also in a post-scarcity world, the AI is going to be doing all of our work. And then in terms of a backbone, AI is going to be paying themselves with digital currency. Is it going to be mostly Bitcoin? Is it going to be mostly central digital bank currencies? Or is it going to be programmable, totally easily programmable money? Like, because Bitcoin isn't, well, it's program, like, or more like Solana and Ethereum is what I mean when I'm saying because Bitcoin is programmable money. So they say that's one way of defining what Bitcoin is. But Ethereum and Solana and all those other ones, the world's supercomputers, that takes it to a whole new level of, I think, I'm no expert on this, but from what I can tell, and I know a lot of Bitcoin people aren't going to like this, is that the AI will be able to use things like Ethereum and Solana a lot easier than Bitcoin. I might be wrong, but let's get to the world where we can actually figure that out, where we can actually see that in action. All these AIs trying to transact digital currency between one another. That is going to be freaking awesome. And then we can say, well, Bitcoin won in the long run, so it's clearly the true backbone of the AI financial system or something like that. But at the very least, Bitcoin is going to be just a major peg in the post-abundance world in getting us there.
I did ask Grok and ChatGPT the same question, and I outlined the question with. So the question was something along the lines of, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the lines of using critical thinking, logic, and what else was it? And something else. If you were in charge of the global financial structure, what currency would you use? Now, the way I asked the question, I tried to extract any bias that I may have put into the system by using it. And in doing so, the answer that came back said the AI would choose Bitcoin.
Yeah, other people.
And I was like, pretty legit.
Yeah, other people have done that experiment before. But your question kind of implies, like, what would happen under one world government, basically. And we're not getting there. I mean, it might. That's the way it might have been. I could. Who knows?
Maybe.
And also, by the way, I said post scarcity world, not post abundance world. Post scarcity world, where we no longer have scarcity, we have abundance. Because during my little rant there, I screamed out post abundance. I don't know what that is. I said, what is non-existence anymore? When it's beyond abundance, what's beyond abundance? Post scarcity world, where we know a world of no scarcity. Everybody, already in certain realms. In the United States, like, we live in a post scarcity in terms of, like, clothing, like, it's post scarcity, and and food. You can get free food and free clothing anywhere if you want in the United States. You can. I mean, you just go to a charity. In a dumpster. Most dumpsters will have a good quality stuff. If you just jump into a dumpster of a nice, but it's even easier than that. You go to a charity. There's no reason for a person not to be able to have decent clothing and to be malnutrition in the United States anymore. We are post-abundance, post-scarcity. Please, if people ever heard me say post-abundance in my rants, I meant post-scarcity in those two things. But let's get there in everything.
Yeah, what are we not there with? We're there with consumables and clothing, and are we there with energy? I'm not too sure.
No.
What are we not there with at the moment?
Well, energy is the main thing. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't have fusion yet or anything like that. It's not energy is not cheap. I mean, there's some people that, and I think
Yeah, I suppose
I was
that
about
is
to
the
say
only thing.
shelter. I was about to say shelter, but I don't know.
Yeah, but have you seen these bloody these
Well,
3D printers that are printing houses?
well, yeah, that, and that's we're,
Amazing.
health. We're not. There's so many things that haven't been cured yet, and that aren't. And most health stuff that's really good is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So we're not like in terms of quality health regimes and medicines. In medicine, no, we're not there yet because there's been so much regulation on medicine. If they did, if it didn't take if they didn't have these ridiculous 10-year trials, we'd be closer to post scarcity. With that, we'd have people be able to pay $5 for any medicine they wanted, and the medicine would be good. Like right now, a lot of people are getting ridiculous medicines they shouldn't even need because they're just out of shape. And but there'll be miracle. We're not at the point of like miracle life extension medicines that are cheap for anyone. So that's where I would say post scarcity is with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Energy and medicine. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. There might be a couple of other things, but
Well, those are
I don't
very
think.
important things. Those are very important things.
Yeah, I don't think they're as important as energy and health. Yeah, it would be nice to get to a point where you pay a couple bucks just for like an X-ray or a blood test or whatever. That would be nice.
Well, it wouldn't even be that. Like you would, there'd be some contraption where you're when you go to the bathroom, your toilet would tell you everything that's wrong with you. If you have any new cancer cells in your body, if you all sorts of things. That'd be just we can't you wouldn't even need certain tests anymore. There'd just be some one big test that would tell you everything like in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that'd be good. Go for a piss and then find out. Oh shit, I've got fucking whatever. I don't know.
It would be early. It would be very early detection type of stuff. Like
Yeah,
the precursor to cancer cell. You have a few now, so you should cut down on the amount of meat you're eating or something. I don't know.
yeah. It's making me think already. Like maybe we could create a system where you're constantly being analyzed for your health. Like you say, every time you wash your hands or go to the toilet, and then that would communicate to like your shopping list, and it goes like you're deficient in B12, so we need to order a couple more stems of broccoli or whatever.
Yep, that's exactly what I envision.
Amazing.
It's going to be like that one day. It will. Let it happen soon. Let them just get rid of all the regulations that are holding back such innovations from happening.
Is it regulation or lack of innovation? Maybe a bit of both.
No. It's regular. With the drug trials, it's ridiculous. It's a drug. It's like 10-year drug trials and stuff. I mean, if they be coming up with all sorts of with cancer, okay, they can come up with all sorts of interesting cocktails, and they're not allowed to give. And there are people that are desperate. They're going to die in 6 months. They'd be willing to take anything. They like, I'll be the guinea pig. I don't care if I die tomorrow. Just give me this thing. Give me this thing. They're not letting that. There's rules. You can't do that. You can't create a new thing out of it can't. They got it with the virus that we had back in 2020. They got rid of all the regulations. They came out with a vaccine in 2 days or something like that. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Make everything like that, where people can just come up with something and this mRNA stuff. Let them try it on every single cancer, on all these things that are out there. Heart disease, just let it. There are companies out there working right now to get rid of cancer and heart disease, but they have to go through this slow trial process, and they know what they've tried it out on monkeys or on pigs, but they can't try. If they've tried it out on other mammals and a human is going to die in 6 months, let them give it to the human. Just let them give it to the human. What's wrong, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it was Elon Musk. He's come up with the brain chips and everything like that. Well, I remember one day on Twitter, all these people were like, "Oh, look what he did to monkeys. Look, he shouldn't be allowed to give it to humans." Oh, I'm like, what are you guys doing? There are people that are blind and paralyzed out there, and they would just volunteer to have their brains open up like these monkeys. Why test it out on the monkeys? They want it now. They don't like being paralyzed. They don't like being blind. They just let them. If people want the stuff, let them have it. So the innovation is there. That stuff with the Neuralink is so innovative. They just can't try it on. They've tried it like on 5 humans, and they've had to go through so much to do that. If there wasn't regulation on there, they'd be trying it out on all sorts of humans and stuff. All sorts of humans would be volunteering for it. But no, that's what regulation gets in the way.
Yeah, risk aversion is detrimental to progression.
Oh,
I've just written that down. I'm going to tweet that later on. That's a good line. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, I try and come up with little slogans when I'm talking to people. I don't know, just a habit, maybe a bad habit of creating.
No, it's a good habit. I do that often myself.
Yeah,
I have so many slogans. Don't be a tree. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. Offended by selling. Everybody pound that like button for those of you watching this on YouTube.
Yes. Hey, how accurate is everything divided by 21 million? I heard that today.
Everything divided by 21 million. I never really got. I never thought about that one. How accurate is it?
I think if I can remember, so 900. It's like 775 million per Bitcoin. If 900 trillion is the global.
Nah, I see that now. It's what I was about to say about it. Is that it's one of those cultish things.
It's a bit of a reach. In fact, it's a lot of a reach.
Yeah. What's wrong with? I saw a presentation that was much more realistic. Like, okay, the gold market cap is this much. The housing market cap is this much. The stocks market cap is this much. What if 10% of each one went into Bitcoin? And there were some other categories too. And Bitcoin would end up would be like $3 million per Bitcoin or something. That's what and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but be logical about it. Like, not everything's going to flow into Bitcoin at the same rate. I think there's a lot of asset classes that are going to flow into Bitcoin, but we don't know what percentage of each one. But the fact that there's going to be even a percent of each one is going to be very good for Bitcoin. And we've already seen it. Some people who would have bought gold or maybe own gold have gone into Bitcoin. And that has been good for Bitcoin. How much more of that is going to happen? I don't know. But I do think that in this modern era that we live in, if the gold market cap is $10 trillion, and what's Bitcoin now? 2 trillion? I don't know what it is. The Bitcoin's going to there's going to be a day that Bitcoin surpasses the gold one, okay? It is just, gold is it is old-fashioned. It's from so long ago. And we are clearly living in a world that favors digital everything. As I said earlier in the show, young people value digital NFTs, things that are just printed out of thin air. And if they're willing to pay for an NFT, and it's so easy to send to your friend and everything, gold is so hard. Okay, it's so hard to send to your friend. It's very much confiscatable. It isn't very cool. It isn't very modern. So that's an asset class that is going to not be as popular in the future. It just makes sense if things keep. The whole world could change, whatever. But if you logically study progression of the world, everything has become much more digital. In the last 10 years, even, people are just, well, first of all, we had that virus where everybody started working from home. That's totally digital based. And now people don't want to ever go back to work again. That's totally without a physical location. So for me, something about technology, it really, and this might not be the healthiest thing, it devalues the physical. It really devalues, you don't need the physical anymore. It adds value to this the metaverse, if you want to call it that. And by the way, I thought Facebook was smart when everybody was making fun of Facebook for calling themselves Meta and thinking about this metaverse thing. I was like, oh, this is good. This is good they're going in this direction. And now, lo and behold, they have a big AI business that saved their tuchlises and stuff. I mean, when you're a company, you've got to go with you've got to modernize all the time. You just can't sit on your laurels and be like, yes, social media will be the king forever and it's never going to change. And we'll just be Facebook. No, you got to go. You got to follow the puck there. And that's AI. He wanted to print his own cryptocurrency. That was a great idea too. I hope he does. He gave a lot of money to the Trump campaign. So God willing, that bribe works well for him, and he's able to. I have no problem with him doing his own cryptocurrency. Or Facebook becoming a bank. Twitter has alluded to it too, or X, whatever you want to call it. They want to be the everything app. Well, if you're the everything app, you're going to be a bank also, okay? And that's going to involve cryptocurrency. That's going to involve, in theory, Bitcoin, but with Elon Musk, who knows?
Who knows?
It might be Dogecoin, so you don't know, or both, or whatever, or he's going to make a new one, and whatever. I have no problem with that. Whatever's going to happen with these everything apps, I want them to happen soon. Even if it doesn't carry Bitcoin, even if it's something else, that's fine, because that many more people will be comfortable with digital money, and trust me, they'll go to the best one. Bitcoin is the best one.
You come across to me, you sound like to me, you are in favor, you're a guy that favors let's go fast and break stuff and just see what works.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that too. I agree with you. And we're not doing it enough, especially in the UK. Everything is moving. It's such a pace where it just looks like we're standing still. It's crazy to me that you've even got in the European Union, the Czech Republic Central Bank looking to buy 7 billion in Bitcoin, which is basically picking a fight with the ECB. And I'm just stood here going, what are we doing in the UK? It's crazy.
I got to tell you, you like sayings and slogans. Here's one that I heard, and maybe I morphed into something else. In America, we innovate. In China, they replicate. And in Europe, they regulate.
Ooh, I like that.
That's what they do. That is what it is. We innovate here. China copies us. And how does Europe make money? They make rules, regulate. That is what they do. They immediately, instead of saying like, oh, well, yeah, let's jump on this train. Let's jump on the big cryptocurrency. No, how are we going to make this hard? How are we going to make it safe? How are we going to make it safe for everybody? It's ridiculous. They've got the talent in Europe. They've got the talent. The British made their own atomic bomb. The French made their own atomic bomb. Okay, they've got smart people in these places. They've done it before. They're ashamed of themselves. I don't know what it is. They want to. It's the safety dance. They want everybody to be safe. The regulation is what the European Union and, in a sense, Britain also does. I mean, it's sad that there's nothing productive that comes from regulation. Regulation just holds people back. That's all it does. Even what China does, at least they're producing this cheaper versions of what we're doing and sort of improving on stuff sometimes, and lying about it. You know, they all of a sudden the world panics. Oh, they came out with the best AI model. Oh my God. And then a few days later, oh well, they lied about half of it. Okay, there's a few.
Here's an interesting thing. I live in it's a relatively small town, and our local Tesla store is in Chester, which is about an hour drive. But in my small town, I have seen no less than 3, and I'm guessing they're Chinese, electric car companies pop up selling cars in my local area. It's crazy.
That is crazy. I wish, now I don't like the Chinese car companies. Again, I believe the government of China all has a stake in all those things. But in the United States, we're not allowed to even have Chinese cars here. So we don't have anything like that. They block that stuff from here, or maybe. But so I wouldn't. I've heard the Chinese have good electric cars. I want to see it for myself. But here in Salt Lake City, there are a lot of Teslas and a lot of Rivians. Rivian is another, I guess it's an American electric car company. So people want this stuff. I don't know. Part of the reason half the people want it is guilt. because they think they're going to save the world. I mean, let them. Again, there's different value in different things. If they find value in an electric car, then let them have it. And I think they should have access to the Chinese cars. I really want to see if they're as good as some of these people say they are, which I don't think is. We'll see. But I don't like that governments force people to buy electric cars. And no, you're not going to be able to buy a gas-powered car anymore. That is horrible. That this is like, no, that totally takes away the freedom of choice right there. So I'm not opposed to Chinese cars coming to America. I would like to actually see, but it'll bring down the price of everything. If they're as cheap and good as they say, then other prices will fall and stuff. We'll see. I mean, it's good. It's good for the consumer. It'll get Tesla to make better ones. But I don't know. From what I can tell, Tesla makes some pretty darn good ones. And anyway, Tesla, their business model is a little bit different. They're gathering information from people. They're like an information company too. Elon Musk, I mean, it's an empire, baby. He's got it all tied together. He's the best businessman that ever was. It's sad that we live in a world with such hatred of businessmen and such envy of businessmen. That's what I've learned over the years too. I mean, I grew up like anybody in the West. You were supposed to love the poor and be suspicious of the wealthy. Oh, he's a billionaire. He's evil. Like, no, they've contributed a lot to society, and they keep on coming up with these ideas. Let them roll with it, baby. Let them keep on doing what they're doing. I love them. I love them all. I got no problem with the. I mean, sure, they've all practiced because we live in this mixed economy in a economic fascist type of situation. Yeah, they've all had to make their bribes here and there and take in some government money here and there. But they want to do such big things. Amazon wants to do drone deliveries, but they can't do it because there's all this regulation of the airspace. Right now, if that regulation didn't exist, there'd be Amazon drones flying around everywhere, dropping packages. It'd be so cool. I think that would be so cool.
Going back to what you said about innovation and I mean, I tie that with education. And I think I'm right in saying out of the top 10 universities all over the globe, 3 of them are in the UK. And we don't have an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos I mean, the closest we've got to an Elon Musk is James Dyson, who makes Hoovers. It's a pretty poor show, really.
When you say 3 of the top, top in what? Like Oxford? You're talking about Oxford?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you're going to be a philosophical genius, yeah, that's the top. If you're like a philosophy guy,
that's fair. Yeah, that's true.
But I think, but that doesn't matter. That matters in the realm of ideas. They come up with some pretty bad ideas over there too.
But does it matter in the world of engineering and innovation? Maybe not.
For me, all the best universities are in America because they're the ones that are actually turning out the doers, the makers, the entrepreneurs. Oxford is turning out some well-read geniuses like they have been for hundreds of years. Then what do they go on to do? Those are the guys who influence the society and the culture. Well, they don't have much to be proud of with the British culture. What's the British culture producing? Regulation. And maybe some guys that you guys are very good speakers. And
I mean, you can produce 100 Shakespeares, but what good is that to the world? I guess you're right.
If it's not good to the culture unless they embrace the productive aspects of what he has contributed. It just seems that all the philosophy that's coming out of these great thinkers clearly is not good philosophy because it's not being embraced by the cultures. It's being embraced by the cultures and they suck. And that's no offense to the British, but man, so much talent, so much potential. They just roll over for the freebies and just like live off of the past glory. And they're not helping innovation in any way. I don't think, and it is every culture, it is great to have universities that do have smart people at them. But to say you're a great university, you got to be producing like heroic doers, okay? And You should be proud of your philosophers, but no, I think by definition of great universities, the United States has a monopoly on them, and unfortunately, at all of them, there's horribly evil stuff too. I mean, really bad. They're just as corrupt philosophers at all those institutions that are producing smart people too. And another thing is, I don't think institutions in this day and age, we cannot rely too much on institutions. If our institutions like Harvard start becoming corrupt, okay, if you want to try to save Harvard, go save Harvard. Stop giving money to Harvard, whatever you got to do. So, but if Harvard goes down the drain, it's not the end of the world. I believe in networks over institutions. Institutions are centralized and could become totally corrupt. And as we've seen with so many different institutions, a network, it's spread out. There's also some creativity. People can fork off. People just have to get more comfortable with the fact that there's just not going to be one go-to source for everything anymore, okay? For wisdom and greatness. And all the great politicians are only going to come from one place. And all the guys on TV are only going to come from one place. And that they all have to come from a certain type of place. Get used to these systems, these decentralized networks, systems, whatever you want to call them. And you're going to have to figure out which one is the best at the time to be a part of and to learn from. And if one goes corrupt, you comfortably fork off, and you don't get nostalgic about the whole thing to a point where it becomes an obsession and a revengeful thing. But it just seems like there are a bunch of conservatives in America are like, we must take over the institutions now. We must cut all the funding to all the universities. We must do that. We must shape them. Why? Just start your own darn thing. Do it differently. You don't have to do it the same way they did it in 1933. We don't have to do it that way anymore. Let's do it a new way with systems, networks over institutions. So there's my little rant on that one there. And how did I get into that mindset? Bitcoin helped me get into that mindset. Because I know there doesn't have to be one big government to issue my wealth. Okay, issue the way I measure my wealth. I get it from a decentralized network, and I don't need some high up person saying this is real money, like the United States with the Federal Reserve and everything. This is you're forced to pay your taxes in this. Thus, it is real money. I don't need that centralized institution.
Do you think crypto, more so Bitcoin, in conjunction with AI, fractures governments in the West in the next 20 years in a good way? I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's going to make them adopt a change. It's going to make them change. It's a threat. The AI. Well, you see, this is the thing. Crypto and AI combined will allow certain businesses, certain entities, like Elon's entities, that are not countries, to become way more powerful than countries. They're going to be able to, people will be able to live under their jurisdictions and protections. Now, of course, there are many companies based in the United States that are already much more powerful and much more important than all the third world countries. But what we're talking about now is like some of these entities becoming very soon more important than every country that doesn't have a nuclear weapon. I mean, like we're getting real close. And then eventually there will be companies and entities that will be more powerful than certain countries with nuclear weapons.
I've heard somebody say exactly that before.
And then eventually could be one that's more an entity that's more influential than the United States of America. And if AI really becomes that powerful, I mean, that could happen super quick. So that is their threat. I mean, that's the threat to them. So that's what they need to get intertwined with that. Now, and so to scale that down, to show you what technology does to change governance, we've already lived through it. I forgot what the exact saying is. The medium is the message. Message is the medium, whatever. That What back in the old days, politicians, the way they spread the word and increased their power and became powerful, they gave long 2-hour speeches and newspapers covered them. But then they had radio, and then you became a leader if you could speak very well on the radio. And it didn't matter what you looked like. If you could speak well on the radio, like Roosevelt, you were a great leader, very powerful, very respectful. 4-term president. Had they seen him, he was sitting in a chair, he was crippled. There would have been, but then we had TV, and guess what? The politicians, their message was TV oriented at that point. John F. Kennedy, he was a good-looking man. He won because he was good-looking. He took full advantage. Everybody that's how you were covered. You got on ABC, and now we've gotten to this world of social media, and Donald Trump, AOC, and a few others have mastered it. You're just supposed to get these little clips of you trolling people, just egging people on, getting them emotional, and that's how you get attention. That's how you get coverage. That's how you control the news cycle. So that has shaped government. We never would have had a government back in the day with the people that be saying and acting and cursing like AOC and Trump and just all these ridiculous people in government. But that's so they know they've used the technology to conform. Okay, that shapes their message. The medium shapes their message. So that the new AI realm will have to shape the behavior of those that wish to be successful in politics and power. And I don't exactly know how government officials, without the scary thing is they're going to go to regulation. They're going to say, no, you can't do this with AI or something. That's the way they're going to try to fit into it. But that's the wrong way of doing it. Maybe someone will master it. Maybe we'll just have an AI politician. I don't know. I do not. Maybe a politician, what he's going to have is just this like, okay, I'm your leader, but I have the best AI sidekick out there. That's the smartest and advises me the best. Look at his track record. I'm the leader now. Okay. And this country's going to become richer than Facebook because of this helper. He's better than the one Facebook has. So we're going to be better than Facebook again or something. Or I don't know. It can go a lot of ways, but yeah, it's changing the world. It's cryptocurrency and AI are going to hand in hand alter the message.
Yeah, dude. Do you know I could talk to you for fucking hours. Yeah, this has just been an absolutely fantastic conversation, and there's so many things that I could ask you, but I want to be mindful of the time. What is your thesis on Bitcoin and AI in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, they'll converge eventually. As I said earlier in the show, the AI bots will start using Bitcoin, but the forecast they're doing different things. So I mean, these are two separate questions. But I do want to say they will be much more intertwined by the end of the 10-year period. That's one thing. But let's just say you said 10 years, right? Not 5, 10. All right. So Bitcoin in the next 10 years, obviously, I see it expanding more so than it has. It will not become the world reserve currency. It will remain the number one cryptocurrency. There's a chance it'll get to $1 million. There's a chance. I don't think the 4-year cycles are over at all. I think we're going to have a down year in 2026 and 2027. 2028 halving year will be like the 2024 halving year. And 2029 will be like 2013, 2017, 2021, and 2025. Okay? So that, now, the next time around, will that all happen again? Yeah, man, I'll stick with that one too. I think this 4-year cycle is a psychological thing. We have to study it. The supply, the new supply is really much more important. So many people make their plans. They're holding of it around that, the miners and everything. I'm not worried at all about the when the miners aren't going to get as much Bitcoin as they used to get. That I'm not used to that. I'm not worried. People use that as FUD all the time. I think traditional finance will totally embrace it. Banks aren't going to be the same anymore because of it. Will Bitcoin kill all the other altcoins? No, it will not. People will always want altcoins. There will always be things that the altcoins do before Bitcoin can do it, and maybe can't, that Bitcoin never should or will do. I don't think Bitcoin will make any changes to its to the base layer. Any major change? There'll be like a second layer chain things added, and third layer. I don't think quantum computing is going to happen in the next 10 years, so that is not a threat. What else here? There will be more. Governments will not be selling it as much. Will they have reserves? Will they be buying it? Yeah, there'll be some that will be buying it. Will some experiment like El Salvador did for a while? I think there'll be others that try hybrids. There'll be some hybrids. Will El Salvador still be led by Bukele in 10 years? No. No. I see that falling apart. I don't see which country will be in better shape after 10 years from now because of sound financial, non-impulsive monetary policy that involves freedom that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are tied into. Argentina or El Salvador? Argentina. Okay. And I know I just described something that's kind of complex because I don't know. Some of the things that Bukele says are very impulsive, very Gnostic, very irresponsible. Keeping it, having one guy in charge of all your Bitcoin, maybe, it's just like, it's not being done professionally at all. And I just, in that part of the world, people get overthrown all the time. And but down in Argentina, he's got a plan and stuff. And I really think that, and he doesn't favor one thing. It can be dollar-based, it can be Bitcoin-based, it can be whatever. It's just, they don't want to even print Argentine pesos anymore. Now there's no printed money in El Salvador either. But again, you asked me 10-year trajectory, and we're talking about hybrid. So all sorts of countries are going to try all sorts of experiments between now and then. What else? The Lightning Network will still be around, I think. I think people will be spending more Bitcoin. Not that much more, though. And I really believe in this financial innovation around Bitcoin. A lot of people will understand not selling their Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will be used as collateral so much more. And if you actually want to use your Bitcoin to buy something, it will be easier. It'll be easier than it is today. Because it isn't that easy right now. Like, I can't just buy a house with Bitcoin. By then, you'll be able to just buy a house with Bitcoin. There'll be some things that are much easier. Will they be through third parties? I don't know. Yes, probably. But it'll be much right now. It's not. No, you can't buy a house with Bitcoin easily. There and this might be wishful thinking. I think the tax structure around Bitcoin in the United States will be much more friendly than it is now. Like if you're spending Bitcoin, you're not gonna have to worry about paying taxes on it, okay? Because you bought it for a certain amount and you just spent $10 worth of it, and now you have to report the profit that you made. I mean, it's insane, some of the stuff, the rules around it. With AI, I really foresee it making a big difference in the health of everyone around the world. I think it's going to solve some things for us. I think there are going to be some really incredible just discoveries made by AI that are just so improve the life of people. And I think that might happen within 5 years even. AI is going to grow. It's going to be huge. We're not going to be able to recognize certain things in 5 years because of it. But yeah, so very, very bullish on both. But both AI is the whole freaking world and universe. Bitcoin is very important, obviously, but it's the financial realm. And of course, financial realm is very much the backbone of the entire universe. But AI is big. AI is bigger than Bitcoin. It is. It is. It's a completely. It's bigger than anything we've ever had. So there you go. There's my 10 years.
Awesome. Adam, is there anything you wanted to mention before we part ways until next time?
Well, yes, I do want to mention. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. That's like technology in Baltimore. Because when I made that a long time ago, I was in Baltimore, and as I said, I really loved technology. I've always loved technology and finance, and I was a marketing major in college. And so yeah, I still make videos every once in a while. This will be on my channel, Bitcoin Meister, or just Adam Meister on YouTube. Don't be an algorithm slave. Most people cannot find my stuff because they only watch what the algorithm tells them. And they're like, I didn't know you still made videos. Yeah, because you're an algorithm slave. You outsource your thinking to YouTube. You let it decide what you want. And that's a scary thing. It's such I call it the algorithm slavery. And most people, they just watch what the algorithm tells them to watch. And then most creators, they make what the algorithm tells them to make. There's suggestions on what to make. It tells you this is going to be popular. I don't do any of that. I bookmark all sorts of Twitter. I don't let Twitter tell me what to watch. Twitter, who to follow. I follow people, okay? But I don't go by what it spits out to me. I check certain people every single day, okay? To learn from them, okay? See that's how I get my news. Twitter is a great source of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin news for those of you who can curate it yourself, okay? Otherwise, you're going to get caught up in shouting matches. Also, you cannot be an impulsive person and waste your time yelling at people who replied to your tweet. People reply to my tweets all the time. I never reply back to them. Never at all. So I know it's very hard for certain people to do. That's part of the fun. That wastes a lot of time. We only have a certain amount of time on this earth. So there you go. Spread the word. And I really thank you for giving me this time to just let it all out. I thought this was a beautiful freaking interview.
Yeah, what you just said reminded me of that meme that the husband's on the computer and the wife's in bed saying, "Come to bed," and she's like, "I can't yet. There's somebody wrong on the internet."
Exactly.
Seriously, dude, you've got better things to do. Honestly, Adam, it's been an absolute bloody pleasure to talk to you, man. Like I said, I could do this for another hour. You have an amazing amount of knowledge. Clearly, I'd love to get you back on in the future. But again, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.